get a perspective by watching the entire video, and this was a good joint. I am gonna say that like this wasn't a good joint. Like, if you ask me, this conversation really showed the generation gap of black men. And this roundtable conversation, I should put the link in the description below. Probably will end up doing that. It was one of the biggest implications of showing how far black men have gone since the 2010s. And when I say how far we've gone, I mean how we've changed. So, what we witnessed with this conversation was we saw a lot of the younger generation of young black men who are currently taking on adult male leadership roles currently in the community. Like, those dudes are the up and coming, like, dudes who should be giving advice to the younger generation. And we see Clifton Powell up there. He was really the only like celebrity. I want to know how they even got him for this joint, because he was like the only like celebrity. I think this would have been interesting if there was a bunch of celebrities, but it was just a bunch of dudes and Clifton Powell. And I'm like, how the fuck they get Clifton Powell for this joint? But either way, incredible, because he is 69 years old. 69 years old. Damn, my chair cracking. And I was like, I don't think anybody on that panel besides Clifton Powell was older than 40. I think a lot of those dudes on that panel was either millennials and down. I don't think a lot of those brothers on there were over 40. I mean, they didn't display their age, but I'm looking at the brothers just off of optimistics of what I'm looking at. And they looked old. They looked like grown men. They didn't look like they were young bulls, but they didn't look old either. They looked like late 20s, early 30s. So they might have all been millennials and Gen Z for real, for real. And Clifton Powell was a fucking baby boomer. I don't even think there was a Gen Xer in that conversation. Now, I could be wrong, and I might have looked at somebody a certain way and might have misinterpreted their age, but none of them niggas looked like Gen Xers. It was just the one baby boomer, and then looked like a bunch of millennials and Gen Z. And you can see from that conversation what I've been saying about the older generations of black men compared to us, because I don't really give a lot of them Gen X niggas a lot of respect. I don't really look at them Gen X niggas in a fascinating light. You know what I mean? And that sounds messed up and it sounds a little degrading, but I just don't really fuck with the Gen X side of the black community as an adult, because I look back on a lot of the culture and what has been normalized kind of started with them, and why this shit is all fucked up in the first place. Obviously, there's other implications of coming from that, racism, Jim Crow, a lot of things like that, COINTELPRO, and the main, stuff like that came in to kind of exacerbate it. But at least the silent generation, the baby boomers, still tried. The Gen X went a whole nother direction, which made sense, but look what it's done. Thought that's a little side tangent. But Clifton Powell showed exactly what men of my generation and down are fucking tired of. Is we're trying to have a conversation, but the older generation try to put on this loud, hierarching sound to try to make us look like little ass boys, and we grown men. And this is like the barbershop talk thing. This was like a barbershop talk live on the internet, and the younger brothers had a lot more decorum and respect for each other in the conversation, and Clifton Powell was all loud and wild. Now, he said he came from a childhood and grown ups full of violence. So his dad was violent and shit. His mom died young, so I kind of feel for him in a way. But it's also like, nigga, you 69 years old. You never learned how to check that at 69, my nigga. Like, and it just makes me think like, yeah, man, old black men is different. Like, and obviously not all old black men act like this, but there is some weird correlation with the older black men born before 1980, and even some niggas after 1980, for real, for real. But it's like them Gen X niggas, them like late baby boomer, like 1960 to 64, in that area. Some of brothers even in the 50s. It's like they only know how to converse the way Clifton Powell did in this conversation. There are still some brothers in the younger generations that don't know how to conversate, but that comes with time. And I feel like we've learned how to have conversations a different way. And he started going into this whole thing like, man, I just learned how to love at 60 knuckle, like on some pinky shit. But I'm like, but how you just now learning how to love at 60, bro? Like, it's like one of these things we just don't learn. It's like I feel bad because it seems like our community really has trouble knowing what love is. And I'm trying to feel what he's saying, but it's the way he's going about it. And I kind of agree with Six the Goddess. Six the Goddess was like, not the gay man, the most masculine one up there. I said, hey, yo, that's crazy because she right. That nigga moved like a dude for real. Nothing against him being gay, but I'm used to the Saucy Santana type niggas. I ain't gonna hold you. Boy threw me off. I was like, you sure you gay, cuz? This is me being a stereotype, and I own that. But I was like, you sure you gay, cuz? Because, like, you really moving like bull. But he checked Clifton like, yo, don't talk to me like that. I said, I don't blame him. Don't talk to him like that. You know what I'm saying? But then the problem I had with the conversation for me personally was that it just went into this whole conversation about black women for the last hour. I said, no, talk about us. Let the women talk to the women about black women. We need to be talking about black men. And it just turned into this big ass pandering session almost. Like, we got to destroy the patriarchy. I was like, black men never had a patriarchy to destroy. We never got to really taste that for real. If you ask me, I say maybe for a little while during Reconstruction, but even then, we still had bullshit from that. So it's like, I don't think black men ever really got to taste patriarchy in its truest form. And my problem with this conversation with them niggas was they sounded dumb to that degree because I'm like, yeah, I do understand patriarchy. Like, patriarchy was not just women walking around with their eyes hanging out their sockets. That was not every woman's experience. Is it too many women's experience? I would say yes. Is it to the point where a lot of things go down where they shouldn't be? Yes. Did a lot of men abuse their power? Yes. Yes, they did. And I don't like that either. But I don't like the idea that we want to dismantle something we never even had in the first place. Let's try to do it a different way from what we've already been doing. We've seen the community on some matriarchal shit, and it just, in my opinion, hasn't really looked good. Now, that's just my opinion, and I think a lot of black men do agree with me on this. And there's going to be ones that don't, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't like echo chambers. I like conversation with different perspectives. I just don't like the dumb shit, just for the sake of the dumb shit. But that's just me. Now, as far as we get into this, it just seemed like it was all like, oh, black women most educated. I hate to say this, but y'all are not the most educated. White women, I believe, have degrees at like a 50 plus percent. I think Asian women have degrees at like a 30, 40 plus percent. Y'all are like 30% of degrees holders for black women. 30% of black women who have been to school have degrees. Let's say like that. 30% of black women are degree holders. I think like 24, 25% of black men are degree holders. And yes, black women do have more degrees than black men, but every race of women have more degrees compared to their men, and yet men on average still make more. So do what y'all want with that information. That's just the facts. Fuck your feelings. It is what it is. Moving on to the listen to black women thing. I say nobody listens to black women more than we do. Nobody listens to black women more than black men. And I, because we have sons raised by moms, so we have no choice but to listen to black women. Now, once they get to a certain age and they feel like they ain't got to give a damn about what you say, then that's just what it is. That's where the dad come in. But y'all don't like having dudes who are good fathers in their kids' lives. So that's just a little side note on that too. I just wish these niggas focused more on us as like what could help black men be better, be stronger, be more assertive in the world without coming off as toxic. I wish, and Clifton Powell showed that that's exactly the conversation we needed. Because it was like the brothers was trying to talk, and he out here, no nigga, you gotta do what we talking about, man. You talking about, but I'm living. And I'm like, why are you doing this, dog? Like, you look dumb, you look stupid. And that's what, like, I'm tired of it from older black men. A lot of older black men feel like because you're younger, you can't say shit. I hated that for the black community when I was a kid. I hated it as a teenager. I hated it as a young adult. I hated it as a 30 something year old. I hate it. I hate that shit. When you be like, yo, listen, times are different. We move different. We think different. We talk different. We are not them niggas of yesteryear. And the older community is going to have to understand that shit. Black men are trying to put our position better than what it was. We're trying to put our community in another spot from where it is. And if you're not with it, sit down and shut up. Like the younger men are tired of this shit from the older men. And I'm happy. I'm extremely happy. Like I said, I have never been more proud of black people, especially black men, in my entire life. We have finally decided, not a product of my environment, fuck that shit. We have decided to grab our economics and move. We have decided to do a lot of things. I'm so happy with the black community. I'm so happy the black community is finally just deciding to get a grip on what's really necessary for our community to prosper. And it's beautiful. This conversation needs to happen more, but I want the conversation to focus more on us. Black men sitting at a table like that, no nut ass nigga, having that conversation. And I've been in a situation like this at my college where they call like a little barbershop talk. And the black men of the school, any major, sits in the room and we just talk. We just rap with each other. And it's a beautiful sight. It's a beautiful thing to have black men, talking to each other, letting us know we're here for each other. That's what we need. That's really what our community needs. Black men need to be heard. Black men need to be talked to. Black men need to be listened to. Our issues need to be put out there in a safe space, and it's really only going to be safe with us. So I agree that this table talk needed to happen. I think we should have more intellectual black men in them situations. Like I would love to see like a table talk with like Dr. T.S.on Johnson and Medium Man, and hell, I volunteer myself. Alan Obi, like the brothers that actually matter to the topic of black men, while also nuancing the side of black women and having them sit down and talk to each other. I don't think anyone from the Lapeef Network should be there. Just gonna throw that out there. I don't really fuck with the Lapeef Network like that. Um, oh, Philip Scott. I would like it if Philip Scott was there. Dennis Sperlin. They all had a little round table, and they got it together. You see what I'm saying? Now, me personally, I think the only person that really could have gotten that together is Kevin Samuels. But who knows? Maybe somebody else could. Um, but I think more conversations like this need to be thought out. Now, the reason why I didn't say like Mr. BGS Sidmore or Sarge Willa P or myself, like I would volunteer myself, is because I really don't want people to see me like that. But Sarge Willa P and BGS Sidmore exclusively, you don't see them, you don't know what they look like, you just know what they sound like, and they talk that real shit that you want to hear. So that's just where I'm at on that topic, where it's like we should have something like that where the intellectual black men, the black men who want to see a more prosperous community, fuck Umar Johnson, fuck Derrick Jackson, Ace Metaphor, Tony Gaskins, all them niggas eat a dick, Boyce Watkins, I don't fuck all them niggas. But the real niggas that's trying to get to the root of it all so we can move forward are the men that I think should be in those type of talks. It's essentially what needs to happen. Now, that's a nice little generational conversation. You got a millennial, you got a Gen X, you got a baby boomer, probably. I'm saying? Like, that would be a good way to do it. With this roundtable, unfortunately, it just turned into a big ass black woman pandering session with some truth where I do think black women are tired of having black men not be in a form trying to lead, but also you can't lead a group of women that don't want to fucking listen. You could put every single woman in front of a man that will lead them the right way and they still wouldn't listen. You know what I mean? And that's where the disconnect and the disingenuousness comes in that part of the conversation, because you could have a bomb ass black man sitting there ready to lead and give you a whole situation and give you structure and protection. But on the other side of that, you got to deal with the fact that she don't give a fuck about none of that, and you're doing what she's telling you to do and the way she wants you to do it. That's my problem. That's why I said it's a big ass pandering section, because a lot of truth wasn't spoken during that conversation. So ultimately, in watching a lot of women react to, I know I definitely sat through Six the Goddess whole thing. If I had to pick somebody, Chloe, not Chloe, is it Chloe? No, the Black Exotic made it a members only video. Even though I actually really wanted to see that video, but I'm not going to be a member to see it. And I know she probably has some really good points to make about it. I hope Conscious Bay does a reaction to that. I think that would be good to see. But Clifton, just a lot of the comments that I saw from the women who were analyzing this was about Clifton. They weren't talking about the younger men. They was talking about Clifton. And I'm talking about Clifton because it is so obvious to see the generation gap. You can see how the older black men act to the younger black men. And I think it's funny, I think the younger black men of today act more mature than the older black men of today. I think we're more mature. I think we have a little bit more nuanced perspective. We're more willing to be open to certain things like art or some shit like that. Or, like we're more in tune with who we are mentally. And I think we're a lot more in tune with our masculinity in today's climate than them older black men ever were. And if you ask some older black women, they'll say, no, those were the real men. They acted like men back then. But I'm looking at these conversations and I'm not really seeing that. Like I'm saying, like the younger black men are quote unquote, in my opinion, more I'd say emotionally intelligent because I'd say black men of today, more so than not, really don't have a bunch of kids around the community like older black men of past years did. Like that number is decreasing from what I've seen. It seems like that number of black men just walking around impregnating the whole community, that number is going down. But what hasn't gone down, at least not to the same rate or speed, is black women having children with different guys. Now, it is beautiful to see that I could see some black women with no kids. It's nice because I want y'all to stop having fucking kids without the dad around, without a ring. I'd like to see more black women marry before y'all become mothers. But ghetto baby mama culture is just too powerful. So, and Clifton Powell was making some good points. I do think black men should listen to black women, but I do think black men have listened to black women. I do think black men have gone into the ways of we purposely have to make sure we don't fuck up. Like we try to make sure we don't fuck up because of the stereotype and the narrative that black men just be out here fucking up bad. You see what I'm saying? Like we gotta make sure we don't fuck up. And I don't think a lot of black women appreciate that. I mean, it just saying 54% of black men don't have kids causes outrage, but it's there, it's documented, it's there for you to see. And one thing I do want to bring up about the conversation outside of Clifton was the one brother who said, I genuinely believe the only way black men could get out was sports or music. I got into the music industry. Those industries are really out here to pump up everybody else instead of you. I got out of that industry and, I ended up with some kids and I had to do what I had to do to get my kids together. So he left music to really get some money and start doing what he had to do. I'm so glad that part of the conversation wasn't removed because they could have easily edited that out, but they left it in. And he said the rawest thing on that whole panel when he was like, it's not the way out. I mean, you could do it, you know what I'm saying, but that's not the only way. And it's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. That was something that needed to be said. And I'm so happy that that was said. So shout out to that brother for saying that because I've been trying to tell people for years. All we wait for is that nigga to get a basketball deal, or a football deal, or a boxing deal, or he about to become a rapper, or he about to be the next Chris Brown. It's the only way black men can get out the hood. Yeah, and then you gotta take everybody on the block with him, even the people that don't like him. They don't even like him, but you gotta take them with him. So yeah, yeah, nah. And thank God that brother really said that. That was the part that really like I had to pause and be like, damn, somebody really said it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was a good joint. Like it was a long ass joint. Like I sat through the whole thing, and the only thing that came out of my mouth was, "Man, Clifton was on some bullshit. Why did you go up there and represent yourself like that?" And it was multiple times where he was just lashing the fuck out loud with that pinky voice. You know what I'm saying? Like all I heard was pinky. And I ain't playing no. Like that's all I heard the whole time. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? And he was trying, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it really was like some typical shit. Like I'm gonna say some stuff I feel before they put the samurai sword through their stomach and lay on the side, because you know what I'm saying. Like it was like I did this thing wrong, and you know what I'm saying, this and the third, but the priest can't say nothing. But you sit here like, but I'm simple Cohen, and you just go right in your stomach and pass out. It's like something like that, where this is basically the confessional booth, and you do end up dead at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like he was just kind of projecting all his shit onto all black men, and most black men don't do that shit. And whatever he was doing to the women he was with, that's something you need to write down in a book and be like, baby, I'm sorry, and apologize to all of them women and the one you're currently with, because apparently he put that woman through hell. I wouldn't have disclosed that shit out loud. I ain't gonna hold you. So, Six the Goddess was saying his dick must have stopped working yesterday or something. I said, yo, Six, dog, chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think I saw like a Danica reaction or anything like that. T.S. Johnson did a reaction, but that joint was 4 hours long. I was like, I ain't gonna lie, Doc. This a long one, pimping. This this one for the birds. Like you need a whole day off from work for to watch this one. I'm straight, bro. I'm straight in the head. Like, but Dr. T.S. Johnson is too thorough to not watch, so it's like you kind of struggling through the thing. But all in all, I want more things like this to happen. I want to see more barbershop talks, more round table conversations with black men sitting there talking to each other constructively without all the bull. I know it brings views, and then I would like to see a round table where a bunch of black women sit there and talk. But then I would also like to see something like Jubilee back last year, where they had black men and black women sitting there talking, and it wasn't a bunch of screaming over each other. That's the one thing I didn't get to mention on that Jubilee joint last year when I did a video on it. Was I liked seeing the fact that black men and black women sat at that circle and they talked and they didn't bite each other's heads off, but both parts and both issues got put out there and was across each other. So I will say on the stance of that, outside of that bullshit Clifton was on, this was a solid joint. Like I think if he wasn't there and you had just those other guys, that would have been a real good conversation. Even the Spanish boy was like he was in it and he was giving his perspective and he sounded real too. Because I think a lot of Hispanic boys and black boys go through the same shit. But the only thing is, black but Hispanic boys are nowhere near as emasculated as black men. They're still over in the Hispanic community crying about machismo. They got the machismo, man. Like you see what I'm saying? So it's topsy turvy, you know. And I would, like I said, more of these. Hell, I would like to see a black woman joint where it's like Six the Goddess, Lady Boulay, Tanisha Talks. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see some of those type of women sitting at at a circle table, talking like this together and talking about the dynamics of the black community as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Then maybe get them with some black men that I mentioned earlier in the video getting together and talking. That would be a video for the ages to come because that would change so many landscapes. But that's probably why it would never really happen. And plus, all of us, we all live in different parts of the country. Like I live in Philly. Some people live in fucking Mississippi, probably. I think Miss Lady Boulay live in the South. Um, Obviously, Six of Gods, I think it's in like Atlanta or Florida or something like that. So you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying like these things would be nice to see, but it's not probable. So all in all, I'm glad to see where black men are going. I think the Clifton types are kind of going out the door with all that extra shit. You're gonna have some residuals left over. We got some in the millennial community. The Gen Zers seem to be a lot more good at having a respectable nuanced conversation. And some of the millennials are good at it too. I wish more of us were better at it because I've been wanting to hang myself talking to millennials sometimes. But that's where I stand with it. But you know, me getting ready to sign off. Damn, I've been going for a minute. But let me know what I might have missed. If I missed a certain topic that might have caught your eye, let me know down below. Definitely get the conversation started on this. Um, I need you to like, comment, subscribe for more, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.